So what is going on, guys? I am Black. What's amazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are back doing a roundup of all of the latest information that's gone on to do with Call of Duty over the past week or so. We've had quite a few juicy and interesting stuff I want to share with you in this video, and also some stuff that I really just don't care about but for some reason is, I guess, relevant news. Anyway, the more important stuff which will affect Call of Duty going on into the future, depending on whether this does or doesn't go through, is the Activision/Xbox acquisition. Something we've been hearing about for about a year now, if I'm not wrong, when the news broke that Xbox were buying Activision for around 80 billion, I believe. When we first heard the news, we all thought, yeah, surely this is going to go through. I can't really see any major problem that would get in the way of this not happening. Activision want to sell, Xbox want to buy. As far as America goes, there doesn't really seem to be that many different obstacles. But of course, there is a lot more outside of America and in Europe that also comes in conversation as well, because Call of Duty and all of Activision's products are not only sold in America, but around the world, meaning there are things outside of the US that have a part to play in this as well. The deal was supposed to be finalised early 2023, so not too long now, and we were told that we should get some big news at the end of this year, which we're coming up close to. But Charlie Intel posted, the European Union has started its investigation into Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The regulatory group says they'll provide an update on November 8th. Like I just mentioned, you might be wondering, well, what does the European Union have to do with this? Xbox is an American company, so is Activision, so why is the European Union doing an investigation? But like I just mentioned, because Activision's products are sold worldwide and in Europe, as far as I'm aware, that's the reason why they're getting involved. As to what their investigation is going to entail exactly, I don't really know. I'm assuming it's around the whole monopoly thing that we've also been hearing about for quite a long time. And just to add on to this, they also said, reports state PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan met with European Union regulators in September to talk concerns over Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Reports also state Google has voiced its concerns over the deal. I guess on one hand you could understand PlayStation's concerns to a certain extent. At this very moment in time, Call of Duty is sold on both consoles. In fact, it sells a lot more on PlayStation than it does on Xbox, bringing more revenue to the PlayStation since they get a certain cut. As far as Google goes, why they'd be concerned over the deal, I'm not 100% sure now, because up until I think it was like a week ago, they had the Google Stadia, or Stadia, however you pronounce it, but that's finished now. So I'm not 100% sure how this acquisition would affect Google, how it would take revenue away from them. Maybe the mobile side of gaming and Google Play Store, perhaps. That's the only thing I can think of, because they don't have a console that rivals the Xbox or PlayStation. But even if this deal did go through, I still can't see how it would affect Google. So that one I'm not too sure of, but the PlayStation one I can see to a certain extent, even though Xbox have come out and said, look, we're not going to do any sort of exclusivity between Xbox and Call of Duty. We're not going to, in 2 or 3, maybe 5 years time, make COD a Xbox exclusive. Even though they've said that, when Xbox brought Bethesda, I think it was, they said the exact same thing. However, some Bethesda games in the future will be Xbox exclusive, even though initially that wasn't supposed to be the case. So who knows? Yeah, right now maybe the plans are to keep things as they are, but 4 or 5 years in gaming is a long time. Things can change, and for all we know, we could see COD as an Xbox exclusive. That's something I definitely wouldn't rule out. Which on one hand, I guess Xbox have the right to do if they own the company. If they're buying it for 80 billion, they've got to get something out of it that would make it worth it, even though they're never, well, I doubt they're ever going to get their money back on that. But it is a big deal breaker, because people will buy consoles just for Call of Duty. COD is it's hard to describe. It's a franchise. It's almost a console in itself. Call of Duty is almost always the #1 selling game every year. Even the worst ones, Vanguard was the worst launch COD had since 2007, yet was still one of the best selling games for that year, just not as on top as it usually was. Still up there though. Even me, I used to be an Xbox player, but when DLC exclusivity switched to PlayStation in BO3, when that game had DLC a month earlier than Xbox, I then brought a PlayStation and have been with them ever since. So Call of Duty really does dictate what console players buy, which could be a massive deal breaker. If COD was to become exclusive, that would take a hell of a lot of sales away from PlayStation, not only through the game, but also people buying the consoles, and it would bring a lot more people to Xbox. I can't lie, I don't own the new Xbox, but if that did happen, I'd have to go out and buy one. So it does work. Is it wrong? It's difficult to say. When you're paying that much money for a company, you want something out of it. So yeah, and even though Xbox have come out and assured people that there won't be any exclusivity, we're not going to be taking COD away from the PlayStation, still you've got the CEO Jim Ryan talking to the European Union about concerns. So even though the deadline in quotation marks isn't that far away now. This deal is still nowhere near done. Can I say it will happen 100%? No, I'm like probably 80% sure it'll go through now. I still think things will get sorted out, but it will be interesting to see where this goes. In other news, again continuing with Activision, it seems like they're still continuing to pursue their lawsuit against Engine Owning. The latest information that Charlie Intel told us was Activision continues to pursue its lawsuit against Engine Owning, with the latest filings identifying names of the owners of the company and asking the court to require Engine Owning to cease operations and give all money earned on cheat sales to Activision. And then here, quite a funny part of the lawsuit, it says, Activision is informed and believes, and on that basis alleges, that defendant Big Pile of Poop is an individual residing in Europe who has acted as an administrator for Engine Owning's Discord account, and in that capacity has been responsible for assisting the development, updating, marketing, distribution, and sale of cheating software, and also provided support for the cheating software. So yeah, Big Pile of Poop, whoever you are, dude, I'd be very careful. This is actually quite scary in my opinion. This is definitely something I wouldn't want to be involved in. I would not want to be going up against Activision, a massive company like that. It kind of reminds me of the time, I think it was it Rockstar, when they did a similar thing. There's basically no way to win against companies like this, really. And when you think of what Activision are trying to get out of it, they want to not only shut down Engine Owning, but they want all of the money earned from their cheat sales to be given to Activision as well. When you think of Activision being, well, it's just being brought for 80 billion. I don't know the amount that Engine Owning have got from cheat sales, but it can't be that much. Maybe, I don't know, a couple of million. Even if it was 10, 20, 30 million, Activision earned that in a month. The money they want from this cheat site is actually nothing, so really it's kind of a sick thing, because this money's nothing to them. They don't even need it. I could see both sides of the arguments, but this is something I wouldn't usually say. I side more towards Activision on this. Cheats do ruin games, not only for other players, but also the companies as well. One, I don't want to be playing a game against cheaters, it ruins my experience. And also, if the game is full of cheaters, then that gives whoever made it a bad reputation as well. It makes me think, well, all of Activision's games are full of cheaters, they don't do anything about it. I don't want to play any products from them, I don't want to buy any of their stuff anymore. So I'd side more towards Activision on this. I don't like cheaters in games, especially when you're ruining other players' experience. People that have paid to play the game normally, how it's supposed to be, and everyone's on a level playing field. Score-based matchmaking exists. So yeah, I kind of hope this one goes through. Taking all of their money though isn't something Activision need, but also benefiting from cheats is the reason why people make them in the first place. So if Activision are doing something like this and taking a company for everything they've got, perhaps it will mean less cheats in the future. People will be less willing to make them. And then the final bit of news, but I guess the biggest one out of them all, is Cardi B. She tweeted, "My stupid decisions from the past caused me to miss out on money now. I had a multi-million-dollar Call of Duty deal on the table that I couldn't take because of court. Guys, think twice before those quick decisions. Lessons learned." I can't begin to imagine what this multi-dollar deal between COD and Cardi B would have been. Her skin in the game, maybe? Would she have been an operator? Maybe, like Snoop Dogg, would have done some voice lines? Her music in the game, perhaps? I can only think it would have been along those lines. All of them sound just as bad. Thank God this didn't go through. COD, what were you thinking? I know the game's been down bad recently, but damn, perhaps this one was a lucky escape. Anyway, that is it for today. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and of course I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.